Hello and welcome to our calm history journey. Today we will travel back in time to an ancient Egyptian village, a place where life moves slowly and patiently, where the rhythm of the Nile and the daily routines of people guide every action. Before we begin this story, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button so you can follow all of our relaxing historical videos. Now find a comfortable position, take a deep breath, and allow yourself to be carried into the quiet, steady life of this ancient village, where each moment unfolds gently, and every detail helps you relax, ready to listen and drift along with the calm flow of time. The day begins slowly in a small village resting along the gentle curve of the Nile. The sun does not rise suddenly. Instead, it stretches its light across the water, as if it has all the time in the world. The river answers with soft reflections that move without urgency. Before any voice is heard, before any tool is lifted, the land itself seems to breathe in silence. The village wakes not with sound, but with presence. Simple mud brick houses stand close to one another, shaped by hands that have repeated the same motions for generations. Their walls carry the warmth of many quiet nights and the memory of countless mornings like this one. Narrow paths wind between the homes, pressed smooth by bare feet that know these ways without thought. The air is cool, carrying the faint scent of water reeds and damp earth. Inside one of the houses, a family stirs quietly. Woven mats shift as people rise, moving slowly and carefully, not out of fear, but out of habit. Here time is not chased, it is followed. A woman steps outside carrying a clay vessel and pauses beside the door. She looks toward the river. This pause is not empty, it is full of understanding. The Nile is more than water, it is memory. It is promise. Every season it returns, teaching patience and trust. The vessel is lowered into the river. The surface trembles gently. As it is lifted, water slips back into the current. This small motion reflects the larger movements of the world, movements that never stop, yet never hurry. As the light spreads further, men begin to walk toward the fields beyond the village. Narrow channels guide water from the river into carefully shaped land. These channels are not new. The soil remembers them. Wooden tools worn smooth by years of use are carried with ease. There is no rush to begin. The land does not respond to force. Seeds are pressed gently into the earth, placed in rows learned through watching the floods and the stars. The work is quiet, not because it is easy, but because it is understood. Understanding removes the need for haste. Hands move with certainty, and the earth receives what it has always received. Children move through the village, gathering small tasks without being told. They carry baskets, collect reeds, chase insects, and observe everything. They learn without lessons. Elders sit near shaded walls, watching, not to instruct, but to remember. Their memories stretch beyond their own lives, into stories of parents and grandparents, and all those who lived and worked in this same place. The village does not exist only in the present, it exists as a long unbroken line of days. As the sun climbs higher, warmth settles over the land. Smoke rises gently from hearths where simple meals are prepared. Soft voices carry between houses. Footsteps pass slowly along familiar paths. Birds call from the reeds. None of these sounds compete. They exist together without conflict. Animals move with the same quiet familiarity. Goats wander slowly. Chickens scratch the ground. Everything seems to know its place without being told. There are no grand monuments here, no stone temples reaching toward the sky. No carved statues watching over the people. Not yet. But there is balance. There is order. There is an understanding that life moves best when it moves slowly. The Nile continues its steady flow. The village follows its example. This is how the day begins, not with a declaration, but with a quiet agreement between people, land, and river, an agreement that has carried them through countless mornings before, and will carry them through many more. As the sun continues its patient rise, the story of this place continues, calm, unbroken, without hurry. As the morning continues, the village settles into a deeper rhythm. The light becomes steadier, shadows shorten slowly, and with this quiet change the work of the day begins, not all at once, but in gentle layers, as if every task waits patiently for the one before it to find its place. People move without calling to one another, because there is no need to announce what everyone already understands. Beyond the houses the fields begin to show calm movement, figures spread across the land, following paths that were never written down, yet always remembered. The soil beneath their feet still holds the coolness of the night, while the surface warms gradually under the sun. And this balance between cool and warm mirrors the way life is lived here, steady, measured, and unforced. Water flows through narrow channels cut carefully into the earth, its sound constant and soft, shaping not only the fields but the thoughts of those who work them. Because where water arrives, regularly worry fades, and planning becomes natural. This is how the village learned to think beyond the present moment, not through ambition, but through observation and trust built slowly over time. Farmers bend and straighten in slow repetition, hands brushing against leaves, fingers testing the soil, movements repeating day after day until the body remembers what the mind no longer needs to consider. And in this repetition work becomes almost restful. Not because it is light, but because it is familiar near. The river fishing nets are checked without expectation. Some are heavy, some are not, and neither outcome causes frustration. Reeds are cut carefully and gathered for repairs. Baskets, and simple tools, each reed chosen by feel rather than sight, strength recognized through years of experience. Nearby clay is shaped into vessels, fingers pressing gentle marks into wet earth, marks that will remain long after the moment has passed. Back in the village, shade grows more important as the sun rises higher. People gather briefly beneath walls and simple coverings, not to rest completely, but to slow their pace, to share quiet observations about the day. There are no formal meetings, no raised voices, only short exchanges and knowing looks. Children sit nearby listening more than speaking, absorbing the rhythm of adult life long before they fully join it. Elders begin to speak softly, sharing memories rather than lessons. Stories of floods that arrived too early or too late, of seasons when the land gave generously, and others when it held back. These stories are not dramatic, they are steady reminders of balance, and through them knowledge moves gently from one generation to the next without urgency. Time in the village is not counted by numbers or hours, it is measured by light, by hunger, by the position of the sun in the sky. When the heat reaches its quiet peak, movement slows further, even animals seek stillness. Goats rest in shade, birds fall silent, and in this shared pause the village seems to breathe as one. This stillness is not emptiness, it is awareness, a moment of listening to the land, the water, and the body itself. And in this pause the people remember that survival does not come from constant action, but from knowing when to wait as the afternoon begins its gradual arrival. Tasks resume gently. Preparations for the evening start long before the day begins to fade. Grain is checked, tools are cleaned and set aside, water is stored, and nothing is left to the last moment, because here routine is trusted, proven by generations who learned that steadiness outlasts urgency. Throughout the day the Nile continues its quiet journey past the village, indifferent yet essential, its presence shaping every decision, every pause, every movement. People glance toward it without conscious thought, because it is always there, constant and dependable, and as long as it flows life remains possible. This understanding settles deep within the village, creating a calm acceptance of the future. Uncertainty exists, but fear does not, and so the day moves forward without drama, without announcement, guided by repetition, observation, and trust. And as the sun begins its slow descent, the work naturally tapers off, not because it is finished, but because it can wait. Waiting here is not idleness, it is wisdom. And the village carries the calm of the day gently toward the evening, preparing for the softer hours ahead, where light fades slowly and thought becomes quieter. And this calm will shape the night just as it shaped the morning, completing another unbroken circle of time. As the sun moves lower toward the edge of the land, the light softens slowly, shadows stretch across walls and paths, and the heat that shaped the day finally begins to release its grip. People return from the fields in no particular order, some earlier, some later, guided not by time but by feeling. Tools hang loosely from tired hands, yet there is no sense of exhaustion, only completion. The village absorbs these returning figures gently. Doors open and close without sound. Clay vessels are set down, baskets emptied, and the spaces between houses fill briefly with movement before settling again. Smoke rises from hearths in thin drifting lines, carrying the familiar scent of cooked grain and warmed water. And this scent moves through the village like a signal that the day has reached its softer edge. Meals are prepared slowly, not because there is nothing else to do, but because there is no reason to hurry. Hands grind grain in steady circles, water is poured carefully into simple vessels, small fires are fed with practiced movements, and children sit nearby watching flames shift and bend, learning calm without being taught. When food is shared, it is done quietly. Families sit close together, bodies relaxed, voices low, and the day is not retold in detail. There is no need to explain what everyone has lived together. Instead, there are pauses, nods, and moments of shared understanding. The satisfaction comes not from what was achieved, but from the fact that the rhythm held as the sky deepens in color and the sun disappears beyond the land. Thoughts begin to turn inward. Evening in the village is not empty time, it is reflective time. Elders speak again, not loudly, not often, but when they do, their words carry weight. They speak of the river as something that listens, of the land as something that remembers, of forces that move quietly beneath the surface of daily life. Belief here does not separate itself from work or rest. It exists alongside both, woven into gestures and habits. An offering might be no more than a small portion of food placed aside. A pause facing the direction of the river, a whispered word carried away by cooling air. These acts are not performed for display, they are performed for balance. Children absorb these moments without questions, watching how adults pause, how they lower their heads, how they remain still for a breath longer than necessary. And through this watching, understanding forms slowly, belief becomes familiar rather than mysterious, something lived rather than explained. As darkness settles, lamps are lit one by one, their glow soft and contained. Houses become small islands of light, separated by shadow but connected by memory. Paths no longer need to be seen to be followed, feet know where to step, and movement continues quietly between homes as final tasks are completed. Beyond the village, the Nile reflects the darkening sky, its surface broken only by gentle movement. Stars appear slowly, one after another, without pattern yet full of meaning. People look upward not in wonder but in recognition. The stars are guides, markers of seasons, reminders that time moves in cycles far larger than a single day. Animals settle into rest, sounds soften further, the air cools and carries again the scent of water and earth. Inside the houses, bodies stretch and settle. Conversations fade without conclusion, because there is no need to finish what will continue tomorrow. In this deepening quiet, the village holds itself together through shared understanding. Life is known to be fragile, yet supported, uncertain, yet balanced, and this balance is protected not by force, but by attention, patience, and respect. As night fully arrives, the village remains awake in a different way, listening rather than speaking, feeling rather than acting, and in this state people prepare themselves for sleep, trusting that the river will continue to flow, the land will remain steady, and the morning will return as it always has. This trust allows rest to come without resistance, and as eyes close, the rhythm of the day lingers, carrying the village gently into the dark hours. Calm, steady, an unbroken night settles fully over the village, not suddenly, but in layers. Shadows deepen, light fades gradually, and the remaining sounds soften until they blend into one another. Lamps inside the houses burn low, their glow steady and warm, casting slow-moving shapes against mud-brick walls, and outside paths disappear into darkness that feels familiar rather than threatening. Within the houses, bodies lie still on woven mats, breath slows naturally, muscles release the memory of the day, and sleep approaches without resistance, not forced, not chased, simply welcomed. The rhythm of waking life dissolves gently, replaced by a quieter awareness that lingers just beneath. Rest. The village does not fall silent all at once. There are still faint sounds, a distant movement, the soft shift of an animal settling, the quiet flow of the Nile nearby, constant and reassuring, its presence felt even when unseen, shaping dreams as it shapes the land. Time at night loses its edges, moments stretch and blend together. There is no measure, no division, only the sense of continuation. Stars move slowly across the sky, unnoticed by sleeping eyes, yet deeply connected to the lives below, marking seasons that guide planting and harvest long before they are felt. Those who remain awake for a little longer sit quietly, thoughts drifting without direction. Night is when reflection comes most easily, when the weight of action lifts, and the mind wanders gently through memories, images of water fields and faces passing without order, without urgency. Belief deepens during these hours, not through words, but through feeling. The unseen forces spoken of in the evening are sensed most clearly now, in the stillness, in the way the air cools, in the way darkness wraps around the village without harm. Protection is felt rather than explained. Dreams begin to arrive softly, shaped by repetition and familiarity. Dreams of fields under floodwater, of walking familiar paths, of stars reflected in the river. There are no sharp edges here, no sudden fear. Only movement and memory blending together. The village exists even in sleep as a single living thing, breaths rising and falling across many houses, bodies resting in shared rhythm. And this unity is what has kept the people here generation after generation. Not walls, not weapons, but connection. Outside the Nile continues its journey, passing the village as it always has, carrying stories from distant lands, indifferent yet essential, its sound constant, gentle, and endlessly patient, a reminder that life continues even when eyes are closed. As the night deepens, further stillness becomes complete, and in this stillness time seems to pause, yet it does not stop, it simply moves beyond awareness, waiting for the moment when light will return. The village rests within this pause, protected by routine, belief, and trust, suspended between yesterday and tomorrow. And in this space of rest the foundations of life are quietly reinforced, preparing the people for another day that will arrive without announcement. And so the night holds the village gently, allowing sleep to deepen, allowing thoughts to fade, until only the steady rhythm of breathing and the distant flow of water remain, calm, continuous, and unbroken. As the night slowly loosens its hold, the first hints of light creep across the horizon, soft and tentative, touching the tops of mud brick houses, spreading across the Nile, and reflecting gently on the water's surface. The village begins to stir, not with urgency or sound, but with the calm awareness that a new day is returning. Bodies shift beneath mats, limbs stretch slowly, and the memory of the night blends seamlessly into waking. The river glimmers faintly as the sun rises, not abruptly, but as if it has been stretching all along, each ray caressing the village with warmth and familiarity. And the air carries the coolness of morning mixed with the earthy scent of the fields. The quiet is profound yet alive, filled with potential, and every movement seems deliberate but unhurried, flowing naturally from the long rhythm of days and nights that have come before. Children begin to wake first, not because they are told, but because they have learned the patterns of the village. Small feet moving across worn paths, baskets in hand, eyes scanning for tasks that are part of the day's cycle, and even in their soft murmurs there is rhythm, repetition, and a gentle understanding of place and time, each action echoing countless mornings before. Adults rise as well, stretching muscles that have rested, checking fields and tools, looking to the river and the land with quiet expectation. There is no rush to begin, each movement deliberate, each breath measured, understanding that the day unfolds not through haste but through steady attention. And as work resumes gently, the village breathes as one, united by routine, memory, and shared experience. Water flows through channels carved long ago. The soil receives seeds, hands press gently. Movements repeated over generations, each gesture contributing to the continuation of life. Children observe, elders watch, knowledge passes quietly from one to the next, not in lessons or commands, but through example, repetition, and patience. The patterns of survival and belonging shaping every action. Smoke rises from hearths once more, meals are prepared slowly, every task performed with care. Voices are low, movements are calm. The village awakens fully, not with noise or ceremony, but with quiet continuity, the rhythm of life unbroken, the connection to land and river and sky remaining as it has for countless seasons, each person contributing, each body and mind aligned with the gentle flow of existence. The river carries the sound of life forward, constant yet never demanding, reflection shimmering as birds rise from the reeds, animals stir, and the world feels alive but patient, the cycle of day and night, work and rest, hope and expectation, continues without interruption, teaching through repetition that time itself is patient, that survival and flourishing come from consistency, care, and attention. Throughout the morning the village moves as a living organism, steps measured, voices soft, tasks performed in harmony with land, water, and sunlight, the collective memory of generations guiding each action, children learning through doing, adults acting with foresight, and elders preserving wisdom through quiet observation. This balance holding life together, steady and unhurried. By mid-morning the sun has risen fully, illuminating fields, homes, and people alike. The village is active yet calm, alive yet not frantic. The world feels expansive and patient, and there is understanding that each day is part of a larger cycle, that every action has consequence and purpose, yet urgency is absent, replaced by awareness, repetition, and trust. And as the day stretches forward, carrying the village into new tasks, new observations, and new quiet moments, the rhythm established through centuries continues, uninterrupted, unbroken, and in this continuity the people of the village find security, belonging, and calm, knowing that life moves slowly, patiently, deliberately, and that each dawn brings with it the same gentle lessons, the same steady promise of continuity, carrying them forward into another day, another cycle, another unhurried story.